Death be not proud.
Well, alright, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. It's time for Angry Tabletop Nerds' first RTT of the year, battle report and wrap-up, basically. So, I went Nomadic Waaagh with this one and everything. I put together an okay list, and as I've been, looking over the rules and everything, I do have some complaints about Orcs and Goblins. Number one, Impetuous is bullshit. So, you're telling me that Animosity and other additions made Orcs unplayable. That is going to be the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. You have basically what? If I round up a 17% chance of rolling a 1 and then having to roll on the Animosity table versus a 50% chance of your fast cavalry just charged the biggest, baddest unit in the army. Isn't that funny? Oh, those goblins, they'll never learn. And then most of the orcs and goblins have that. You have a 50% chance when you come within declarable charge range of your shit not fucking working. I know that, this build might not be competitive, but in normal games, if I have cavalry and everything like that, and I need it to perform a certain function, I have a 50% chance of that cavalry not performing its function as intended because impetuosity, put a black orc near them. So I would much rather have animosity than impetuous. Animosity is just way better. It's way better because it's, like I said, if I round up, it's a 17% chance that I roll that one. Then I have to roll on the table, and if possible to do so, I have to declare a charge, or a squabble breaks out and they start fighting, or I get to move my full distance, then declare a charge because of will show them, if that's how I remember it. And then all you ever had to do was keep a black orc next to your primary caster in a brick of orcs, and I would just do D3 wounds to my own unit to keep them in line. That was way better than what we have now. So other gripes I have about Nomadic Waaagh, because I really think that they fucked over Orcs and Goblins with this Arcane Journal. It's just not as good as it could be. I give this book, on a full review, a 2 out of 5. Troll Horde is good. It's okay. You're just not going to have a lot on the table, but 2,000 point Troll Horde, I'm going to say, is slightly stronger than Nomadic Waaagh. The problems I got with Nomadic Waaagh are basically, again, impetuosity. They want you to fill up on goblin shit, basically. So if you bring a Black Orc Warboss or Big Boss, you have to bring one Black Orc Chariot. So you're paying the tax again for bringing Black Orcs, which is horseshit. The tax on Black Orcs is complete and total bullshit, first and foremost. So I have to spend 140 points on a Chariot that isn't really all that good, but it does bring great weapons. So that is a bonus, and it does have the option to bring a standard. And then the other thing I have is 0 to 1 Orc War Bosses, 0 to 1 Weird Knobs per 1,000 points. So if I bring 2 Orc War Bosses, I can't bring an Orc Shaman. That's fine, I guess. And then the other restriction that makes absolutely zero fucking sense. You have to take 500 points of core in a 2K army either way, and you have to bring an Orc General to unlock Orc Boys in core. That is total horse shit. If this is truly a nomadic list and we're all supposed to be mounted, wouldn't it be easier for a lot of people, just collection-wise, rather than filling up on goblin shit, to be able to bring 2 units of Boys in core, which would almost damn near put you over the line either way? I think a normal unit of Boys, just stock, full command, full gear, not savages, 210. 210, that's it. 210 points gone. So, just that alone kind of sucks. And then the other thing is not being able to have, what are those called? Spider Riders in the roster. So you have another cavalry choice that you can bring, and you can't even bring them. So you have less options. So I made the best list that I could on paper, and there's a showcase at the end of this video. I'm just voicing my my complaints and being very critical of the way they wrote this. Some things that are good, well, you do get impact hits on your Boar Boys mob with the, what do you call it? The Tusker Charge special rule, which is really good. It's an additional, the War Boar has an additional armor piercing characteristic, and I believe that the Tusker Charge is already -1, so that might be -2, but don't quote me on that. I think it's only -1. I played it during the tournament as -1. And then you get 0 to 1 that can bring Vanguard. Vanguard never really came up. I spent the points for it, but it just, again, I was running a big frenzied unit, so I had to be careful with how I used it. I brought them as frenzied is because I did not want them having to take a terror check, which did come in to play a lot. So let's get into game one. All right, so game one, we have Dark Elves versus Orcs and Goblins. And this is the guy I played before in the last tournament with my Bretonians. And he brought a different mix mash of Dark Elves this time. He brought the Witch Hose, and I had to get the Stick Pimps to keep the Witch Hose in order. And that was the whole point of this battle here. So that was our narrative. Stick Pimps got to keep the Witch Hose in order. So he brought a Blood Rack Shrine, a big unit of Savage, Witch Hose, a Blood Rack Medusa is an entry in this thing, a Hydra, and then a big unit of Cold Ones with a Master, the Prince level Dark Elf hero, not to mention a Sorceress with a Whip, and then a big old unit of Dark Riders. Dark Riders are pretty good, and so this is just what it looks like after everybody's first turns. I threw out a hand of a foot of Gork over there. I got my Wyvern on the side. He hid behind the forest, and it says he was moving a certain way. I said, oh, none of that matters. I can't see you, and you can't see me. So what I did was afterwards, because I deployed just behind that forest, it's closer to my edge of the table than it looks. I jumped out on the other side of the forest and just decided to look at him. So on my other side, I got my general over there with the Wyvern and everything. I've got my Wolf Riders. Now, when I deploy my Wolf Riders, I usually deploy them. I always deployed one single file line, looking to the left or looking to the right, because, again, the impetuous thing, especially with some of the faster armies that might come out, I need a turn to buffer away from my Savage Orcs, so I can get away from not having to declare a charge, because if I have a unit in my way, I can't declare a charge. And there's no way that I can make the charge, that actually helps. So it's a single file line. Even though I can see you, I can't legally declare a charge because I can't move through my own unit. So it's a non-issue, basically, for that first turn or turn and a half of movement on getting my Savage Orcs into position, as you can see, like I've done there. I've got my Wizard in between the two units, and that's kind of going to be the loadout. Now, I didn't roll any offensive spells, which sucks. Zero, all the buffs. I got the buffs that I needed. In this game, I had Evil Sun Shining, Bad Moon Rising, Itchy Nuisance, and then one other spell. Well, I actually have the spells in my bag, so I'll have to go get that in a minute. But one other spell that didn't really make any good effect out there. So let's go over to the next slide here. All right, this is just a different angle, basically, of that. So you can see my boss there, moving on. Or he might have moved closer, as you can see there, but no, maybe just a different angle. So ended up having to charge the Hydra, got my Warboss on the flank of the Hydra, just said to myself, let's kill it. And that's exactly what we're getting into. We're getting into the mix here. Let's just kill the Hydra. My Chariot ended up having to charge, which really kind of sucks for my Chariot. And so there we go there. And I think we gobbled them up afterwards. We were able to push the Bloodrack Shrine back, got countercharged. At this point, I just took my Chariot off because one thing I learned back in 6th edition Fantasy is you never take the charge from the Witch Hose. The Witch Hose are always going to deal out a lot of punishment. Plus, I think they were poisoned. But either way, each one had like 3 attacks. And I think they had the Hatred spell. Now, one thing I will give the Goblin Shaman with the extra range to dispel with the Idol of Mork is that he was able to shut down the magic as intended sufficiently. Another angle here. So this is a pretty sad shooting from the Dark Elf Black Riders. He shot a grand total of like 39 bolts. He shot at them twice. Once in the first turn, once in the second turn, and then he only got the 1 wound, and I stuck that right on my shield. Right there. Boom. Just denied. Whereas, like, usually Dark Riders are very good at clearing out Goblin cavalry. These guys were just waving their spears at him the whole time. And, of course, I flew up over there. So, yeah, that was one of those funnier moments that you get in Warhammer where it's just like, statistically, you should kill me, but you didn't, you know? And that's where we're at there. The Bloodrack Medusa ended up charging the Boar Riders. Now, the Boar Riders were able to, I believe they made their armor saves, and we ate the Bloodrack Medusa. Yeah, and then we ended up charging everything. These guys failed Impetuosity. So they didn't have a choice. Again, impetuosity is a thing. Oh, you just need to be a better player, bro. You know, you got to roll 4+, bro. Roll 4+. And the Giant ended up charging in there. And I have to get a unit for points here. So we went in. Of course, we lost a couple of guys. And then I was positioning my Wyvern up there. And I got my Wyvern on the side of those guys. I charged in here with the... let me just zoom in on that a little bit. Right over here with the Goblins. I shouldn't have done that because that was like feeding him combat resolution. But then again, the Dark Riders weren't performing that well. I just figured cavalry spears, right? Yay, cavalry spears. No. And that's why Nomadic Waaagh sucks. Like, you can have a lot of Goblins with cavalry spears, but you're still weapon skill shit. And you're not going to get anywhere with those cavalry spears. Now, maybe if Goblins themselves, like, there was the difference. Night Goblins are weapon skill 2, but they got the Fanatics. But Goblins are weapon skill 3. That would be something there, but it's not one of those things. It's not meant to be. I've got this big unit out in the open. He took a wound. I think he miscast. And ended up centering a template over himself. Or... something, yeah, I think it was a miscast that took him on a wound there. Going back. We had a grind over there in the center, and just a square off right here. So what I should have started doing with this unit, which I didn't, and I kicked myself for because I sent this unit running, so it had a turn to rally because I charged it with both the Wyvern and the what do you call it? Somewhere back in here. I sent the Cold One Rider unit running with both of these units. He did not want to take that charge, and I don't blame him. And they rallied, and they were over there. And, of course, the Witch Elves doing really good with the Bloodrack Shrine going against the Giant and everything. Of course, those Goblins died. Again, Impetuosity really sucks. But we're still kind of holding it down. And this was like the last... I think this might even be turn 4 or turn 5 where he ended up charging me. And because I can't make a charge reaction as a frenzied unit, I did a very, very dumb thing. I countercharged. And I only got like 2 inches, but that was enough to bring me into contact. And, of course, he had a buff spell up, and he massacred the shit out of that unit before it even got the swing. But I just figured, and that swung the game back towards his favor. But it was only by an inch. And, of course, you can't... I don't know if you're frenzied, if you can even make. Well, you do have the countercharge special rule with Orc Boys, so shouldn't have done that. Killed the Dark Riders. This guy backed off from combat, and I've got both my Wyverns free after eating up all the Dark Riders. Charged them, turned around. My Battle Standard Bearer's sitting there, and started the slow grind on what do you call it, on this guy. Now this is a hero right here. He shot at the Goblin again, did nothing. Like, his crossbows just completely failed him this game. So that was kind of a funny thing there, where you should be able to kill a Goblin with no armor. And again, that's another problem. Do I put him in a chariot where he'll have armor, or do I run him by himself? I just don't really know. I was just feeling out the Nomadic Waaagh first. I think that Witch Elf champion down here, we'll zoom in on her. Right here. Of course, I was re-racking everything, all the casualties and everything. I think she might have killed him. Something killed him. I think it was her. She killed him, and then I charged with my Wyvern, and she ran away, which is fine. And then you got the Bloodrack Shrine over there. I just wanted her gone. And then if we go up, we ended up chasing the character and the sorceress down, and they and that's just right over here. Let me just zoom in, pull over. They ended up contributing 0 points. So for the turn, I had actually eked out a draw for a game that I should have won. I should have just sat there and done nothing with that unit, because he would have failed his charge, and then I could have charged with my Wyvern, charged with my Boar Boys, but the Wyvern would have been one Wyvern would have been more than enough to take care of that unit right here that ended up eating my Orc unit, and that's kind of how game 1 went. So here we are, game 2, Tomb Kings. This is Battle for the Past scenario. As you can see here, he's got a very big unit of skeletons. I think that's like 39. Even 28 man unit of Tomb Guard. Those are 2 really solid units. They got a lot of buffs. They got a lot of love with the things that you can do with these guys. He's got a level 2 in there. Let's zoom in on this army just a little bit. Then the one thing that really worried me the most was his Tomb King on a dragon. That is a real thing. It's got a 5+ armor save no matter what. It's got a 5+ ward save, 5+ regen save. And this was the one matchup that I did not want to do at all. I guess he won his last game, but not by a big enough margin to get to a different table or something like that. So he ended up on this table, and this was the one matchup that I didn't want to do. I knew the player very well. He's a good guy, veteran player at this point, very heavy-handedly, and then just look at the setup here. There's nothing wrong with these chaff units. They always hit on 5s, his archers, and then he's got his buzzards out there, and these guys always hit on 5s, and he's got his bow unit. And I think I took this. Let me just zoom back out. After turn 1, his turn 1, because he got, I did not, the whole tournament, I did not get to go first. So that really hurt, not getting to go first. As you can see here, I've got my guys in a marching column and everything. And this is me after movement. He shot me with, and brought me down to 1 wound. And the arrows of the asp, he was rolling 5s and 6s like it was going out of style this game. Let's go into the next slide. Bam. Just a different view of where I ended up putting my cavalry. Now, he put down some kind of spell with necromancy. Let me see what that one is. Demonic Vessel, Demonic Familiars. Oh, I think that's Demonic Vigor, maybe. I'd have to double check that. I think that's the Vortex one. That's the one with the 15-inch range. Or it could be the Summoning. Anyway, whatever, there's a Vortex out there. It doesn't block line of sight or anything. And then I had this big fight here with the Carrions. And they're just going against the Goblins. Now, again, I have to keep the Goblins in front of the Orcs because of impetuosity and everything like that. These guys over here with the musicians, stuff like that, they're in marching column because I don't know. I can't remember why I adopted that formation. But just basically wanted to make sure that they're out there and ahead of my orcs to kind of keep me from moving, basically. Because if you have to declare the charge, you're just going to bounce off that unit or you're going to stop. But you want to have those impediments there. And then I think I got closer to bait out the Tomb Guard unit. My giant took a lot of fire. Like he got a magic missile off and did 5 wounds with it. And rolled 5 6s. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And again, what I was trying to do over here, let's just zoom in on that, is the giant and the wyvern together are 2 threats that you really want to put out on the points. And I really thought that this game was going to be tough at this point because I'm starting to bleed my extra drops like the giant. I bled my chariot. If we go up here, I'm losing goblins, and this guy's just poised over here to charge my ass. So I didn't think that this game was going to go in my favor. I thought it would be a very heavy-handed loss. I kept putting a debuff spell out on them. I think that was, God, I don't know what it was. I think it was I must have reduced their, let me see what I had there. Game 2, Itchy Nuisance. Here we go. Bad Moon. I think I put an Itchy Nuisance out on them. And he held back for a turn because I think he was going to put them into my goblins and then try to overrun down. And that just kind of stopped him from moving, was the Itchy Nuisance. Go back. And, of course, his dragon came in. You know what? I think he might have, I might have pushed those back one more turn. Had one guy left, and he charged it, and he made the overrun move on his turn. I think that's what happened. He made the overrun move on his turn. So I had been charged by the Tomb King. Sorry. It's a little hard to remember the next day, but you know, we're getting through it. So we're going on. He has that weird head. We're in base contact technically. I decided to charge the skeletons because I was completely outmaneuvered. Let me just go in here. I had to find a way out. I wasn't afraid of these things, of the tomb scorpions themselves, but I had to get away. I had to find a way out. So him turning this unit around kind of helps me for a few turns. Plus, he didn't have enough room to charge through the gap there. I think he measured that and he didn't have enough room. I brought my wizard up. I kept putting debuff spells out on the Tomb Guard. And that kept when I initially charged, I killed all but the last 3 in the second rank was how many I killed. And then, of course, he has the jar and he can bring them back. And I started to bleed the Tomb King for combat resolution in there. So I have this vortex that I'm sitting in. We're fighting in a magic vortex. I've charged the skeleton archers over there. And then he's got the Umshopti up on the hill. They're a decent unit to bring. But as you can see, this is where I thought I would lose. He had brought those back over the course of many turns. And then somehow, because the only spell I could keep getting off was to make him weapon skill 1. I kept making him weapon skill 1. And so he was too enfeebled to fight back. And what was it? I think it's... Yeah, I think it's Bad Moon Rising that lowers your weapon skill. And so I was able to kill the Tomb Guard regiment, which I did not see coming with an average cavalry unit. I mean, Boar Boys, even though they're biggins, they're still weapon skill 3, and that's weapon skill way too fucking low for the points that you're paying. It should be weapon skill 4. I like how normal beastmen and what do you call it? Fucking shit is all... weapon skill 4. They pass that out. They pass that shit out like candy to other armies, but they have to cuck orcs with their weapon skill. Biggins should be weapon skill 4, by the way. So we were able to punch our way through there, open this up, and we got this tomb scorpion right here, and we're still fighting over there. I had taken some wounds. Now I had been rolling the Armor of Destiny if it were a 4+. Which it wasn't. However, a lot of the I will say this, he was watching all my rolls. One mistake that was the one mistake that I made rolling against him was that I was rolling as if it was full plate. But I had made a lot of 6+ saves that would have just been ordinary ward saves. So that's how that went, and so I even ended up putting an extra wound on my guy because he did watch me roll, but I was rolling pretty good. Oh, I take 2 wounds. Okay, well I just saved all those wounds. Or his dragon would flub a little bit because it would either the Tomb Prince would perform or the dragon wouldn't perform, and then I would go ahead, get 2 wounds on me and make my saves. And then of course all the saves themselves for stomps were basically he got 5 stomps on me and I was able to make all 5. So I think I should have I think I should technically have maybe 2 wounds left rather than 3. But I did put an extra wound on there for him, and I apologize for that now. But I did make an exorbitant amount of armor saves. Of course, I turned around. I didn't want to take this unit on with the other Wyvern here. Let's zoom in on that. I wanted options to either charge up on the hill or charge this guy over there. And then I've got these characters in my way. So we'll go on to the next slide, though. But that's why I lasted so long. I did make an exorbitant amount of armor saves. Finally, we get up to like T4 or 5, and I was able to beat the Tomb Prince with this unit and everything. This unit reared round to charge me. I was just within its arc, but it was a front. So I turned, and then he, of course, put a scorpion inside of me there on the side, and yeah, this is his turn, so I lost some guys there. I've got my wizard there, casting debuff spells. He had taken some damage from a miscast, as usual. And again, I rolled no offensive magic whatsoever. But now we're finally past the hardest part of this game, and if we're lucky, we can begin to wrap up. I was able to turn, charge the rear end of him, keep my battle standard bearer alive, and get onto the flank of those guys. And when you get into the rear of those skeletons, even though they have poison and hatred, you can really do a lot of damage with the savages. Because you come in, you've got the impact hits. Then you've got the riders with 3 attacks each. And then you've got the pigs. And all of that shit is poison. And those are poison -2 in the first round because I have spears and everything. And we just decimated over half their number. And at that point, even though you can bring back D3 plus 1 your wizard level, it's just not enough to keep this unit alive. So when I put the goblins out there initially, I really wanted to impede the movement of this unit. This is a unit that you have to be very careful to approach. You only ever want to approach it with things that have a 2+ armor save or high toughness. But again, 2+ armor save because they have poison. So like an Ironbreaker's unit might be a good answer to that unit. Because it's just got, again, Tomb Kings, they got a lot of love. This skeleton regiment, it can be defeated, but the way it stands and the way that it's played, I'm going to say it's a giant poison brick, and it's probably the best poison brick in the game, and it's a little overpowered in my opinion. I think you should get the poison, but not the hatred. You can't. I don't think you should be allowed to have both, because fuck, I didn't get weapon skill 4 on my biggins. Charged my general into the Tomb Scorpion here. Finally lost my battle standard bearer there. We're closing in on his rear end there. This is just a giant machine that kills things once it's in you, especially in your rear end. There's nothing they can do. He's got his wizard there and everything. Unfortunately, to make up for the loss of his general, he got a heroic killing blow, and I did not save it. I rolled a 3 for the ward save. So, flubbed my attacks there, rolled 5 1s, and got killed. So I thought the game might swing back into his favor. popped the skeleton unit, ate the Hierophant, and ended up almost tabling him. I think he only had Mr. Glittering Robes, the level 2 wizard there. I ate that scorpion, and that was the end of the game. That's the one where I scored like 2,015 points. So we start off with game 3 against ogres. As you can see, let's zoom in on this right here. I've got a line of guys that got vanguarded into, which really sucks for me because goblins, again, they can't fight worth the shit, and I have to get a turn in order to bring my orcs up and put them in position. And if I don't get that turn, and I didn't get turn 1 at all in all 3 of the fucking games, which should not happen but did. You know, I should at least get one turn 1, which is complete and total fucking horseshit, and I didn't get it at all. So now I'm kind of locked in here by these two guys. Of course, the goblins have to put up a fight when they don't need to put up a fight at all. So that's going to kind of screw me over there. Again, 0 offensive magic was rolled. In Waaagh magic, you only got one real offensive spell. You can either have a level 2 wizard with the signature spell that's kind of like Hammerhand, where you play with its Fists of Gork or Mork, and that's the signature spell, or you can have the Vindictive Glare. I really think that not having the Artillery Wizard probably hurt me a little bit, but again, I do like the buffs and debuffs that I get. Itchy Nuisance, I think, is an absolute include. But, I mean, it would have been nice to at least get Vindictive Glare for this game, and I didn't roll it at all. So I'm already being oppressed right here because now I can't move, which is complete and total horse shit. Because, you know, they had to give everything movement 8, except for Boar Boys. And I'm going to, you know, everything gets movement 8. Everything gets weapon skill 4. Again, this is what, there's a reason I rated Old World as a whole a 2 out of 5. The game is okay. It's just, it's poorly written. Completely poorly written. And it makes movement 7. Meanwhile, everybody else gets movement 8, you know. So you do with that what you can. But again, you just, and then you have the impetuosity on top of that. So I would rather have animosity. Anybody who says that animosity made orcs fucking unplayable in a tournament, you're stupid. Jump off a bridge, kill yourself, and go fuck your mother. Percent chance, so I'll just round it up to 17 even. It's a 17% chance that I'll roll a 1 and have to roll on the animosity table. And even then, it's not that bad. But you got to pay a black orc tax to get a black orc to keep yourself in line. Yeah, the taxes, again, suck. And I mean, I still like orcs and goblins. I'll play them every goddamn day, and no matter what. But, like, yeah, just the nickel and dime shit that they put this army through, it's fucking bullshit. So, let's go to the next slide here. Again, the goblins put up a fight, and they just keep bouncing off of this unit. And it's like when you don't want them to put up a fight. We wounded one of these stupid things once, and now he's able to gain position. We even put a unit of wolves out there to get myself a charge, maybe, baited up there. You can kind of see them right here. And I couldn't see with that, so that was my only frenzy check with the Chariot. Okay, so I put the Chariot out there. It ended up charging the other unit of, chaff hounds, the saber tusks. And it killed the saber tusks. And so this is in a bad position. I didn't know if I was going to take a bull charge and a front charge. And then we got into this thing, which I thought I was going to... we got a corner-to-corner charge off on the Mournfangs, and we killed them. And there was enough room... There was enough room for me to bring my hero in, and he did not roll high enough to get in, so only this unit got in. So I looked, we both looked, we saw that both lines for the Wyvern and the so this is a very bad bit of luck here for the Wyvern and the unit. I could have bisected and split it just so that I would have had one guy who's going to be making support attacks in the boar unit, and then I would have been clipping the base of the saber tusk, because the base is pretty huge. And it didn't work out that way, so I just maximized, hoping that I could be there for the next turn. And what I should have done was declare a challenge maybe. But I don't have a hero in there with a ward save, and I only got a 3+ armor save. And that's not the Saber Tusk. That's the other one with the Frost Aura. So, yeah, that charge could have gone either way. I just rolled solo with the Wyvern. I'm going to say that this is probably step 1 out of 2 that really cost me this game right there. Because now it's not going to go good. This guy, he's kind of a soul taker. I'm finally free of those Saber Tusks down there with my boars. Let's move on to the next slide. So this was pretty funny. These guys kind of fluffed everything against the Chariot. I made some armor saves, yay. And then when he should have ran away, rolls double ones. And I'm thinking this is good. And I don't know if, I'm going to say now, more looking at this picture, just zoom in on this right here. This technically should have been a flank, in my opinion. Like, maybe I think we ended up dicing that, but like, that's a hard one. That's a very hard one. But if I were to draw a line from him, but I don't know if it's my line. So you could put that in your comments. I'm thinking that we still thought it was a front and then played it as a front. Of course, he ended up getting his butt kicked. Whole unit dead. Like, are you kidding me? No flubs. Flawless victory. And he ends up running away by himself with 1 wound. And so nothing's going my way here after this, because now I'm out of position. And I think that happened on this happened on his turn. This combat happened on his turn. And so, yeah, that just really sucked. I did not roll high enough to get into him. But we were bisecting. But, yeah, out of position now with my Wyvern. See, because if I had gotten the Wyvern into combat with him, we would have had a static combat res of like 4 or 5 against him. We would have had rank, banner, battle standard, bearer, close order, and then whatever wounds he didn't do to me in combat, and whatever wounds I did. Again, Wyverns aren't dragons. As far as like usability, I do give them a 4 out of 5 on the tier scale. If you do have 2 of them, you can oppress both flanks of your army relatively quickly. But again, if there's a dragon and you don't have anything to support that Wyvern, you're going to lose your Wyvern real quick, because they saw fit not to use that Age of Sigmar model to give us a dragon. So, unfortunate turn of events here. I had like a 20-inch charge because I thought it would be funny or something like that. I was just 1 inch within the charge range, so I had to declare, and then somehow I ended up fucking making it, which really sucks. Right? I shouldn't have I just naturally rolled for it because of Frenzied, and that's going to cost me this unit. So we went into this combat down here, and I didn't kill the Morn things fast enough, as you're going to see here. I ended up putting a bunch of wounds on him, but we ended up running away. This is what cost me here, where we should have killed all the Mornfangs between the Giant and the Wyvern. We flubbed our rolls a little bit, and we did not get the kill here, which if we did, because we still in base contact with that. Yeah, looking at this picture now, if I just zoom in here, I'm still in base contact with both. The Ogre Bulls are going to come down. And this is a bad unit. You don't want to mess with this. You got a static combat res of 6 here coming in. And it's no good. It's no dice. Then, rather unfortunate series of events happened. We ended up breaking from combat. Of course, the Giant is unbreakable. He rolled 1 inch more than me. It was either an 18-inch, I think it was either 18 inches or 13 to 12. And he cut down my general. Now, this was basically the end of the game here. I could have mounted an offense had we killed this guy, sat there for a turn, and then I could have pincered his big unit and killed his big unit and maybe taken the house, which was the objective. Because 2 Wyverns on Ogres, really, really good. That would have been enough to oppress the Ogres, because if I'm in the flank with 2 close orders, that kind of negates some of his combat resolution there, plus whatever wounds that I do. And then, of course, when you need the giant, and this is, again, why I hate giants, I'm going to continue to bring them because they're basically one of the best things that you can bring. But problem with the giant is he rolled up random attacks, did 0 wounds with thump with club on the wizard, where I could have killed the wizard if I had just rolled I didn't even roll a wound. I rolled 1 hit and got nothing. Got nothing out of that. And of course, but with the general being dead here, that's a game set match. Turn of events there. But this is before I pulled it. He rallied, and that was good for me, as you'll see in a minute here. But he did not, after chasing me and everything, he did not have enough range to get any of his bonuses for charging me. So I was able to go with my riders after his Stonehorn went, and then it was either the Ogre or the Stonehorn that went at the same initiative. So all of these guys got killed except for one dude, which did stave the bleeding just a little bit, and they poisoned him off the table. Now, I don't think you give up banners until the unit is absolutely destroyed in this one. We were debating that. I think you keep the banner until the end, until the unit is destroyed. But it was just all these guys were left, and then they what do you call it? They attacked. We got enough poison. We got enough poison through because even though we couldn't countercharge, we had the armor pierce from what was it? It wasn't. No, it was just poison. It was just pure poison, and this guy doesn't have much of a save, but he does make you -1 weapon skill. So it was enough to just put him over. I think we ended up doing like 8 wounds poisonous between the boars. It was something. It was a lot of 6s. I didn't completely blow my load, but I was able to get the general at least. And then of course he was able to eat. I ran my goblin away. He was able to eat my wolves, and he rolled a 1 because he can't pursue more than a d6. And of course, I moved up there to get out of the way. So I got a little bit of luck there. Ended up flying over there. He's got the objective. We killed the last Mournfang, which gave us another banner. They joined a unit together, and he was able to magic missile my goblin away, which really hurt. Again, he's got almost 1,000 points on the objective. Nothing I could have done. If my general had lived, I could have mounted an offense against that unit and ground it, and probably ran it away if I had two turns to hit it in combat. But losing my wizard here, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin because he did that on his turn 6, and the what do you call it? Lodestone did nothing whenever magic was directed against him. It was supposed to give me the buff, so I guess we'll kind of come up for a summation. So this is what I ended up taking for the tournament. It was a Nomadic Waaagh list. I want to shout out the D6 wounds. I do really like a big unit of biggins in core, but I think the Nomadic Waaagh is a piece of shit, poorly written list. It's got way too many restrictions. Number 1, they just expect you to fill up on goblins, which is horseshit, by the way. Goblins are like your only core. Goblin Wolf Riders and Goblin Wolf Chariots are your only core. Unless you take a general, which is right here, and he lifts the restriction to allow you to take 1 unit of Boar Boys. That's it. 1 unit of Boar Boys as core. So this was like 427 points of my core right here, plus 60-point unit, and then another 60-point unit or something like that. I'll give you the points directly here, but let's see, yeah, 60 and a 50-point unit. There you go. So the thing that I had trouble with was composition. I couldn't bring a black Orc Big Boss because then I wouldn't be able to bring these guys in core. I'd be able to bring 1 Boar Chariot as a core choice per Black Orc rules, which, again, another restriction that doesn't need to fucking be there. I think if you were going to make an Arcane Journal work, and you have this option, you should be able to take 2 units of these as core, because that literally does, like, that's 230 points there if you just take a unit of Biggins, and then you take another unit in core or something. Let's say you take an 8-man strong unit or something. You filled out your core. And that's one complaint that I have, is that it's like, here, load up on Goblin shit and do some tricky shit with Chariots that's not going to work, you know. So the restrictions on Nomadic Waaagh are just basically bullshit. They gave you this list option, and it seems like they did that for a couple of the Arcane Journals. Like, they gave you a Cavalry option for Chaos, but you have to take a marked hero in order to get a Mark of Khorne unit or something like that. So, you know, I don't know. Like I said, some of these taxes are literally grounds for war with English writers and everything. I did like how this unit works. I armed them up with the Spider Banner and a Lodestone, and gave them the Biggins upgrades, the shields, and of course, they're all frenzied, and they have the war paint. 6+ ward save didn't really come in clutch for me this game. It did in one of my practice games. You know, you either get it or you don't. And then one thing that I am going to change is my sorcerer on a wolf. He's not going to have the Idol of Mork. I'm going to give him a different magic item that'll give him a +1 to dispel, rather than just a reroll to dispel. But I do like having the 27 inches to dispel. And he was more or less, he also had the Obsidian Lodestone, which really didn't come into play. So kind of like, I'm going to say 40 points on Lodestones that just didn't work out between these two. So I can put those points somewhere else. You'll live and you'll learn. I had a general with a great weapon and the Armor of Destiny. Giant, of course, immune to psychology. Always a good take. Not really good against fighting other monsters, but very good against infantry, monstrous infantry, and cavalry, if you can not continuously roll a 1 through 4. If you can get a 6 and get them to jump up and down, that's actually useful. 4 is okay if you actually hit things. Again, I always have trouble rolling the 4+, but you don't really have anything else. And the Arachnarok Spider isn't in the Nomadic Waaagh. One thing that's kind of pisses me off about the Nomadic Waaagh is you have another cavalry choice with Spider Riders and shit. And you don't get Spider Riders as an option, which is basically bullshit, in my opinion, you know? So you don't have cavalry that can just come through terrain and anything, and it's not like... And here's another example of a shitty fucking rule, okay? So you got these guys, they have moved through cover, but they still have to roll 2d6 and take the lowest. They should be on par with the ethereal movement of I run through the forest and I get you, and there's nothing you can do about it because spiders, but no. So that's another thing of just like shitty writing, no way to link in these guys to the Nomadic Waaagh. These should be in the roster at least because they are cavalry. Because the theme of the army itself is on everything's mounted. So just going through here, General, great weapon, Armor of Destiny. Big unit of Biggins with the Savage Orc upgrade, the War Paint. They've got the Spears, they've got the Shields, they've got a Lodestone, they've got the Spider Banner. Savage Orc Chariot. I figured, since I had the points to spend, making the Chariot immune to psychology slightly better than not having one that's immune to psychology. Again, we already explained the Giant. Unit of Biggins and Special here, 9 of them with full command with the Battle Standard Bearer. Feign Flight, Musician. Then we had the Wizard on a Wolf, level 4, Lodestone, and Idol of Mork. And then Orc Warboss, not the General, Choppiest Choppa, and the Talisman of Protection. And that basically came out to about 2,000 points. But this is just what I went, and I wanted to do Nomadic Waaagh, and I just didn't have enough Goblin shit to make core work. There's other compositions, but it's just not really a strong build because the restrictions are bullshit. Like, I should be able...
These two units should just be able to go down in core. I have 30 pig boys, and they've almost made it so that, you know, in 2,000 points, you can't get 30 pig boys unless you really try for it. You know, so if these guys were core, that would be better. And it's like, why give us the option of a black orc if you're going to make us pay a black orc tax in every single list? So that's kind of the bullshit part there.
So my overall thoughts on the tournament and everything, it was a good bit of fun. I did get what I wanted. I got to gobble up some units and eat some things. I didn't like the way that third game sat with not making that charge into the into the tyrant to maybe bring him down and even out the game. I don't think even if I did that, even if I killed the general early, I don't think that the one battle standard bearer unit would have had enough juice to charge those bulls with a Wyvern and break them as a unit. I think it still would have been an ogre victory. I just would have liked to have had more points on the table. And the final score on that game was 1,181 for the Orcs, 1517 for the Ogres. Ogre victory, of course. The score for the Tomb Kings game was TK 1,603 versus 2015 for the Orcs. And then the final score on the Dark Elf versus Orcs game, 1,284 to 1,324. And so that one was, the first game was a draw against Dark Elves. Again, kind of a dumb move to countercharge, but like I said, I all I could do was sit there, and I really thought that he was going to hit me, and I wanted some initiative, because if I got the initiative bonus instead of the 2 inches, I would have had some. I had a buff, I think, next to those guys that kind of compelled me to do that. So it would have been impact hits at -2, which might have mitigated some of that damage. I think that was the logic in the choice right there. I might have had Evil Sun up or something like that, where I just mitigate the some of the damage with my impact hits. So that being said, how do I rate the Nomadic Waaagh? I give it a 2 out of 5. It's kind of a very it's not very. It can be competitive on the tier list. Maybe you fall in about B tier if you're an okay player. I consider myself to be an okay player, not exceptional. If you want to see somebody use a Nomadic Waaagh better than me, you can go check out D6 Wounds. That's kind of where I got the idea to run the big unit of boys. But again, when I was doing core choices, I didn't really have enough goblin shit to throw out there to fill up on core with the way that I would have ran my 4 goblin units. And I could have used some Kings of War mincers as chariots, but they really do look more like pump wagons. Things that I would change are the lodestones. I put those 40 points somewhere else. Maybe put the big red raggedy flag on the other unit, because it's easy to come up with 10 points. Make one of my Wyverns more defensive in nature. I think make one of them more defensive in nature, but then again, you have to surrender points for the black orc chariot, which sucks, because I would have loved to have had a black orc. But then I can't bring pigs as a core choice. So then I have to take 30 fucking Goblin Riders, assemble all 30 of them, paint all 30 of them, and make sure I get some Goblin Chariots too to fill up the core choices. And then you have an entire army that doesn't fucking work because of impetuosity. Just kind of looking at it, oh, it's impetuous. So you got a 50% chance of your entire army just charging the front line of whatever the fuck it feels like, getting killed because goblins can't fight in this edition. And so there's been like a streak of me not even worrying about goblin cavalry. Feign flight is a good rule. I think if you're going to do Nomadic Waaagh, you're going to want at least 2 Goblin Wolf Rider units with the Feign flight special rule and a musician. And then just put the shields and body armor on them and call it good. But then that gets kind of pricey. So you're looking at about 60, no more than 60 points on one with the Feign flight, 55 points on one with the musician. So there's that. Of course, no game is ever perfect. You know, you're never. I mean, this game is kind of convoluted with its rule system. 8th was way more streamlined any day of the week. Just the way that it's laid out. The index sucks. Same with 30K. It's not terrible. Like the rule set for 30K, I give that a 3 out of 5. I give it a 3 out of 5 because most of the equipment that the Marine chapters use is exactly the fucking same. So you have a lot of ease of use there. And ease of use, depending on how it's written, can score you 2 points on the review system right there in your favor. You know, so that's just like, oh, look, I know what a Sakaran does. I know what a Shadow Sword does. I know what a Land Raider does. I know what Predators do because I have that information in either the Liber or the Heretic information. But if you want, and if you ask me, they should do that for 40K as well. But would I take this army again? Absolutely. I gotta finish painting up some. I have 9 more Boar Riders that I want to paint up, and then I have what do you call it here? I have 15 Wolf Riders that I want to paint up. So I've got to get to that project this year. So this army will change a little bit. I am not above buying some Goblin Wolf Rider Chariots. Just kind of thinking of what I need here. Just to kind of flush out this force a little bit. I got to pick a project for my Orcs this year and go with that. So last year when I did Orcs, I put most of my resources and time when I got time to paint Orcs into painting the Black Orc army. So I have a full army of Black Orcs, 4 Warboss, 1 Warboss, 4 Big Bosses, 3 units of Black Orcs. Let me just, you can never remember anything off the top of your head here. Oh, yeah, it's the Weird Knob. 3 units of Black Orcs in the Weird Knob. The Weird Knob using the Lore Familiar, of course, but then you can't take the signature spell because they FAQ'd that. You can't just choose. And then this being a... me upgrading it to a Frenzied Chariot. Pretty good there, but... yeah, the infantry mob for my Black Orcs works just a little bit better, but I put all the time that I had into making that army. So I'm going to put a little bit of... last year, I also painted up 10 Orc Savage Boar Riders. That was another prize I got at the tournament. I won Best Painted for this army. There was a Beastman player who had a better painted army than me. I will admit that. But I guess he had 3 models that weren't painted, 3 full models that weren't painted, and they were forming a unit. I think it was a unit of Dragon Ogres, and I think he had a unit that wasn't based, and that will cost you. So that's another, I think that's 4 Best Painteds for me. The Breton, with greenskins maybe. So the first, second, this might either be 3 or 4 Best Painted for me at RTTs that I've won, and they reward you for that. So this time the cash prize was $55. They always I like the tournament organizer, good guy. I want to play him in another game. I should hit him up on his what do you call it? It's not Instagram, but it's like Instagram. Discord. I should hit him up on Discord and play a private game with that gentleman. Simply because, you know, and maybe buy him a bottle of whiskey and thank him for running these tournaments. Because if he wasn't running these tournaments, I wouldn't get to play Old World. I'm not going to beg my group to play Old World. They're busy with their jams right now. Let it run its course. Then maybe you review after games have lost their luster and they ran their course on that. So I don't like to interfere with that too much. If they bring it up and they say, hey, will you play a game of Old World with me? Then absolutely, I'm on board with it. But until then, I'm not going to ask. But yeah, I'd like to shout out to him. I keep forgetting his name, but he runs the Discord group and he runs these tournaments. Thank you very much. Probably owe you a small bottle of whiskey next time I see you. And that will be from Diageo, the finest of always a nice smooth drink. Crown Royal, always a nice smooth drink. Got that there. So that's basically it. Well, anyway, in case I don't see you, you can always leave a comment in the comment section below. This video will be up on Rumble and YouTube. Check me out over on Rumble where I do a weekly hangout. It's called Angry Tabletop Nerd Hangout, and I usually go to town on painting different models and making sure that my armies have the things that they need, you know, so over this course of this week, I would have painted this on stream, but I didn't do stream today, so I hurried and finished it the night before the tournament. Just a Battle Sakaran, so you never know what I'm going to paint. It's just like whatever strikes my fancy, so you can always watch me on Rumble every Sunday at about 8:15 Standard Mountain Time. If you want to get in touch with me, maybe hook up a game, maybe if you're willing to travel, hit me up on Instagram. I would love to host people who want to visit me and play games. That would be awesome. I'll put together a vacation package. I have the room set up. All I have to do is put a twin bed in there. So there's that. If you're willing to travel and you've been one of my Old Sweat followers and I know who you are, or if you're just willing to travel and meet at a store somewhere, that's fine too. If you want to get in touch with me, Instagram DMs are the best way to do that. Link in the description below to Rumble and Instagram. And in case I don't see you, keep painting. You never know how many RTT best painted you're going to win. Keep painting. You got to paint and keep playing. Because I'm going to keep playing Orcs and Goblins. I don't dislike the faction as much as I come off. I mean, they're my favorite faction, hands down. Keep fighting, and stay metal, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one.
When on.
I friggin' sold out. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.